Hey guys, so I have match 4 for you today. Still getting into the swing of things with 3v3, learning what's good on offense, what's good on defense, and what I should avoid. So there's definitely a lot in this match that I learned. And I got to try some new things, which I'm pretty excited about, and have some old habits come back. Spoiler alert for ships. But I think this was a really good learning opportunity, tons of new stuff that I tried that I was pretty excited about. So let's just hop in and have a look at it and see what happens. Alright guys, so my opponent this round is 5th Ufalog. He has 814,000 legacy points, so he did play Grand Arena more than me. 7.6 million galactic power, so he is slightly smaller. I'm at 8.1. He does have 4 galactic legends to my 5, so he is missing obviously Lord Vader and Kylo there. But he does have Starkiller, which I still don't have, so kind of like he has 5, really, sort of. But other than that, wasn't really going to underestimate him too much because he did go 3-0 last week. So he definitely knows what he's doing in 3v3 and I do not. So that being said, let's go look at my defenses. I didn't change anything too drastically this go. So ships, exact same, Executor, Thrawn, and Negotiator. Didn't want to make it too easy. And then up top, I kept pretty much the same thing here. Iden, First Order, on Mothma, JTR, and just some sisters. I did switch in the bottom here. I did leave Rey and left Qui-Gon. I added First Order TIE Pilot, you can see here, to Phasma, because I did put the Omicron on him, and I figured I would throw him on defense and just make him my opponent's problem and, you know, see what happened there. Left Darth Revan, left Shock, and then my back I left pretty much the exact same. Maul, CLS, Finn, Gas, and Traya. So nothing too crazy. And then his defenses. So we can see that he already has 2 Galactic Legends there at the very least. So we've got Qui-Gon up top. Interesting that there's no Anakin. Jedi Master Luke, Grievous, and then he has this Padme team. And Padme is where he ended up putting Anakin, which I actually didn't notice until I went to go and fight the Qui-Gon team. And then we've also got CLS, C-3PO, and Chewie there in the bottom. So kind of interesting, kind of scary. We'll see what happens. And then in the bottom here, like I said, you can already see Rey there. We do have Maul, JTR and the droids, Rey with the bros, which is not something I see too often, and then a Zam-led bounty hunter team and Starkiller, which is going to be super fantastic. So I figured we might as well just start with Rey, to be honest. I like to go after the Galactic Legends first, and obviously remembered my lesson from a few matches ago, so we're just going to use CWAT here. I don't want to use any of my other Galactic Legends that are available, just because I have different thoughts for them, and I just wanted to double check what she was going to be capable of. She does have a lot of offense, but not too much health, so I figured I would be relatively safe here, especially with the bros. I wasn't too worried. So, pretty straightforward. We're going to put the tank tech on C, and then I'm going to link the bros, which, to be honest, I was doing this at work while I was in a Zoom meeting, to be honest with you. And I definitely almost misclicked on this link. So that would have been really bad, I think. So, again, really straightforward, just going straight after them, waiting to get my ult, and then hopefully we'll be able to kill Rey before she kills us. So Watt is dead pretty much immediately as per usual. Going straight. I just like to hit the sides. I don't know if I actually should be hitting Rey, to be honest with you, when that happens, but... And we've got the ult. I wasn't sure if I should relink before I pop the ult. To get the retribution back, or if I should just pop the ult immediately. Like, I wasn't too sure what the best case was here, but I think it worked out. yeah, so she's just doing Rey things. And I think we are pretty much in the clear at this point. Once I realized she had done her whirlwind and wasn't really healing back up quickly, I felt pretty comfortable. Wasn't too scared about what she was going to do. And pretty clean, I think. 64 seems good enough for me. All right, so that's out of the way. The next scary thing I figured would be Starkiller, especially since it's Palpatine and Mara. I wasn't too sure which Galactic Legend I was going to use here. At first I thought Jedi Master Luke, but then I found out that Kylo with Hux and Fu would be a good option. So I figured I would just try it. I have no idea what the exact strategy would be, if I should go for Starkiller or if I should go for Mara. I did end up deciding that I was going to go straight for Mara first, just to get her out of the way. And I realized as soon as I did Kylo's first special that of course I would not be able to stun her because Starkiller's there. So that was kind of sad, but she does end up dying pretty quickly, thankfully. And we can kind of just keep going from there. I figured Starkiller might be the next one that I wanted to get out just to kind of stop his ship from crashing the party here. But it was pretty straightforward, I think, once Mara was gone. And then I can just get rid of Palpatine. I think this was the right call. And then that let me save. I really wanted to save my Kenobi to use up top on his Jedi Master Luke, which is why I was trying to be really particular with my teams. All right, so the next team that I want to go after is this Zam team. In 5v5, my go-to with Zam is to use CLS, so I figured my go-to here would be to use Wedge, Han, Chewie. And my plan was just to kill Zam right away, get rid of her bonus, and then the rest of it should just fall into place. I figured this was the safest trade-off, just because she does have her Omicron. I didn't really want to test anything. He obviously hasn't attacked me yet at this point, so I wasn't too sure what he was going to do. But like I said, he did go 3-0 last week, so I wasn't underestimating his ability to be efficient and clear me. Okay, so Zam is gone. The next thing that I was thinking would be the best call would probably be to go after Maul. Just because Maul scares me, to be totally honest with you. And I decided that I would do Jedi Knight Revan here, which means I cannot use him for Grievous on the top zone, which is a little scary, but just based off of the teams that I could see, I figured this was going to be the best bet and let me allocate like my resources. And I thought that going after Bam first was the right call, just to stop him from getting his whistling birds off. After actually doing this fight and clenching the entire time, I realized I probably should have just marked Maul. This was real scary, especially because now that Bam is marked, I can't target anyone else, and I realized that I wanted to target Maul because Maul was wrecking my life here with Jolie. Got crazy lucky with this heal. I was genuinely scared that we were going to lose Jolie. And then you can see here, Bam's in damage immunity, and I have no option but to target him, which is unbelievably annoying. So I definitely think I probably should have just gone straight for Maul first and dealt with Bam going into Whistling Birds after the fact. But yeah, I definitely, I think this was a misplay. I think I should have gone for Maul upon second watching, and also just how I was feeling doing the battle. It did not feel comfortable. It obviously worked, and 56 was not good, or was good, but it wasn't good that I almost lost Jolie there, and it was luck that I did not lose him, and I'm very well aware of that fact. So, that being said, we just have JTR and the droids left, and figured that I wasn't going to have any other use for Padme. I had plans for my Kenobi team with Cat, and I wasn't going to need Ahsoka with it. I wasn't going to need Padme, and I could spare Kenobi for the tank. So this was the best option, in my opinion, to get through here. That was also going to leave me with really strong teams to use in the back zone as well. You know, like not really knowing what to expect back there, since this is only the second week of 3v3 and everyone is just kind of flailing around right now. So pretty straightforward. I did want to get rid of JTR first, but obviously with R2 there, it's pretty limited on who you can and can't target with his smoke screen. So, you know, once he's gone though, it's pretty straightforward. I did really like this counter. It felt really smooth. I wasn't scared really at all, especially with Padme being able to cleanse and you're getting that protection back. And Ahsoka's obviously healing the team. Like everything just kind of felt like it was going fine, even with honestly Rey getting foresight nonstop and avoiding attacks. Like it just felt fine. So 56 wasn't too upset, so we can go see what's in the back. I wasn't sure if he would have another Galactic Legend back there. If he does, then his offense is pretty limited because he only has the 4. So we've got a weird Akbar team, this Dooku team, Bounty Hunters again, Iden, and then Mon Mothma. So pretty straightforward, but also some interesting teams that are probably going to make me adjust my plans, which is what I did end up doing. So we're going to go to the top because I want to get to ships no matter what. And obviously I'm going to go after the Galactic Legend first because that's my rule of thumb. So I'm going to use my Kenobi with Cat, and I chose to take Mace as the tank. I don't actually know if I was going to need a tank, to be honest with you, because it is obviously just Barriss and Hoda with him. So it's not crazy in terms of damage. It's more healing and possibly timing out. I probably could have skipped Mace, but I didn't want to risk it. So obviously I gave the instant cooldown to Cat so that she could have her instant kill ready. And then I remembered that obviously Luke would be taunting. So we're just biding our time here until I can get Kenobi into his ult. And once I can do that, then I'll be able to kill whoever I want to kill. So I'm going to pop his ult early because I want Cat to be able to take the instant kill. And I toyed with the idea of getting rid of Hoda at first, but I figured Barriss would actually be more annoying and Hoda would be easier to kill anyway. So I just chose to kill her. And then I do want to get rid of Hoda because I don't want foresight to be a problem. I don't want him to keep healing and equalizing health. I don't want him to keep popping that Master's Training nonsense. So I just wanted to get him out of there. And then that way I could focus on Luke. And I wasn't that concerned about damage at this point or anything like that. I just wanted to get him gone. So pretty straightforward. Again, I just always do the cooldown to Cat just to kind of keep throwing out armor shred and have her do her big hit, which obviously isn't very big against a Galactic Legend, but it works. It gets the job done. So I think this was definitely the better call, and this still leaves me with Jedi Master Luke available for any of the teams on the board, and we no longer have a Galactic Legend or Star Killer to worry about. So I was feeling pretty comfortable. Like I said, I reevaluated my plans and kind of tweaked a few things, but overall, like it felt pretty comfortable that things were going smoothly. 55 is not bad. So that was the big one. Then I figured either CLS or Qui-Gon here were going to be my problem children. I wasn't too concerned about Grievous in 3v3, but CLS here, I've gotten pretty comfortable with this counter, to be honest with you. So I am going to do the exact same thing of Jedi Knight, Luke, Hoda, and Old Ben. It hasn't failed me yet. So I just keep doing it. even with them going first and going all in on Jedi Knight Luke, like, it still feels pretty easy to control them. So I do get the stun out. I do want to get the training on Luke so that he's hitting, and then the foresight. And then obviously I just like to go for Chupio right away. I definitely misclicked there, and I should have done the taunt. I feel like using the ability block while they're stunned is kind of a silly thing, but overall it seemed pretty straightforward. So once Chupio is dead, then you can go in all in on CLS, and it's pretty easy from there. So 55, really clean in my opinion. I like it. As long as I can get through in one shot, I'm pretty happy. So like I said, Qui-Gon was probably my next biggest worry. Maybe Padme. But I was pretty excited here with Qui-Gon because he didn't have Anakin. I felt really comfortable using this. So I'm going to take Nute lead. You can see he's gear 12, B1, and Jango. I do want to try this with Anakin there. I think this will work with Anakin there as well. But I was pretty excited to try this and not have to burn like a Galactic Legend or something to turn off the Omicron. So obviously they're going straight for B1, which is fine because he's stack spaced, and then Jango has damage immunity, so everything is fine. I do want to get rid of the Foresight, so obviously that's why I chose to AoE, and then we're putting the Extortion out right away. And as long as I can get past that taunt, I feel completely comfortable killing Qui-Gon as soon as possible here. Especially with, so we're just going to rocket him. Especially with the damage immunity, the stacks, Nute's going to come back. It's really, honestly, this felt pretty straightforward. I chose to switch targets to Kenobi there only because Cam has Retribution. I didn't really want him hitting me back if I could avoid it. So I'm just kind of waiting for that to maybe go away once he switches stances. And then I'm going to go back to Cam because obviously he's going to do more damage than Kenobi at this point, and I would rather get rid of Cam first. So like I said, I think this would work with Anakin just because of how this team is laid out in terms of not being able to get wiped out in one shot. So 57, obviously really, really clean. Having B1 there to give you your protection back is amazing. I think that's what really made it work nicely. So Padme here obviously has Ahsoka and Anakin, and I'm going to take Palpatine, Thrawn, Vader. I think this was probably going to be my best call for them. Felt like it was going to be straightforward enough to do it. I realized once I got in here, probably should have checked the speed because clearly Ahsoka went before my Thrawn, but I do like to fracture Padme right away. And then Anakin obviously likes to go absolutely nuts. So just putting ability block on as many of them as possible to kind of keep things under control. And I want to kill Anakin first. I don't want him going crazy if I kill Padme. Obviously don't want him going crazy if I kill Ahsoka. So I just want to get him out of the way as soon as possible. If he will ever die, thank you. And then I like to keep giving Vader turns if possible, just to kind of keep the ability block out there. I want to get the dots out there with his Merciless Massacre. Feels really easy, to be honest with you, and I don't know, it worked. 53 is not the cleanest, but it worked. And then we have just this Grievous team left, and we will be able to get to ships. So my original plan, honestly, was to Wampa Grievous, but then once I saw Mon Mothma and Iden in the back, I was like, I really need to change my strategy. And I didn't want to use Wampa here. So this might have been a mistake, just in terms of other teams that I could have used. But I kind of thought that this would work. So we've got Bossk lead and then Greef and Mando. Obviously the idea here is to get the contract as soon as possible so that Mando can just delete Grievous. And I can go for B1 right away. I'm going to get the mass assist because I want to get this contract as soon as possible. B2's not taunting, so I'm not too concerned yet. But like I said, I can go for B1 right away to kind of trigger that contract as soon as possible. And just kind of keeping them healthy with Greef, because I know that Grievous, as soon as I kill B1, is going to go nuts. So I wanted to kind of keep their health and protection up if I could. And we've got the contract, but I can't use this yet because I don't have the right buff. So I'm just kind of biding my time until I can. So I'm going to do the heal here just to kind of buy more time. I don't want to trigger marked on anyone, so I'm just waiting, and then I can delete Grievous there, which is perfect. Which is why I kind of swapped back to B2, because I didn't want to hit Grievous too low and trigger mark on B2, and then I wouldn't be able. I just wanted to play it safe. So both front zones are done and one shot, so I was feeling really good at this point. I feel like I dropped a few banners, but relatively efficient. And then obviously we've got Raddus, Executrix, and Executor on fleets that we're gonna have to deal with, which is not fun, but that's a future problem. So we're gonna go back to the bottom wall because I wanted to try and figure that out. And I decided that I was going to use Wampa on Iden. I realized that Mon Mothma, that Kyle Katarn wouldn't be super fast on them because it is 3v3, so he's obviously not gaining as much of a speed boost. So I felt comfortable using Wampa here, and then you'll see what I use on Mon Mothma afterwards, but this was pretty straightforward. She doesn't have a lot of potency. If I remember correctly, she was in the mid-30s, like 30%. So I wasn't too concerned about my Wampa failing here or anything. It's just pretty straightforward, letting him do his Wampa things and smash things around. So just going, obviously Stormtrooper's taunting, so we have to hit him and hit him again because of that buff that brings him back, but pretty straightforward. And then going for range if we can. Once that buff goes away, at least he'll be dead. Perfect. So 58, like that's good, right? So okay, so pretty good. I figured Mon Mothma with Kyle was going to be the next challenge. Like I said, because it's 3v3, he's not getting as much of a speed boost, and his natural speed is 251, so he's not crazy fast to start anyway. And because of that, because he is only 251, I knew that my troopers were going to outspeed him. So I felt really comfortable going in with Veers, Dark, and Piet here, and just going for Kyle right away. Pretty good. I'm glad that I double checked his speed because I was a little bit worried about what I was going to use on Mon Mothma, but as you can see, this was a no-brainer and pretty straightforward. So, not mad about it at all. Okay, so now we have these 3 teams left, and I am going to go after this Bossk team next, and I wasn't too sure what I could do here. So I looked on .gg, and a few people had used bugs, and I was like, no, why aren't Relic? But like, it should theoretically work. Like, you've got Brood for the 4th. This should be fine. This was my downfall. So I completely underestimated Bossk in 3v3. And I did want to try and get ability block here on them. It was not landing, obviously, except on Greef. And then Boba, I completely forgot that Boba would ignore taunt. And so him rocketing off the start there, my Poggle, is not the best feeling. That was when I knew that this was probably not going to work. And Grief constantly healing Bossk is a pain in the effing ass. Like, I truly 100% underestimated this team. I didn't even realize. It didn't clue in for me how much of a pain in the ass it would be until I was in here and just struggle busting hard. Bossk is obviously ridiculously difficult to chew through. Grief's healing him. Boba's doing stupid Boba things. And it's just a straight disaster. Boba putting ability block there and also ignoring taunt isn't great. But overall, like, I just couldn't. You can see I just can't chew through this. And I don't know if it's a relic issue or if it's what the deal is, but this was just, I do not recommend. Don't do this. Just, I've learned my lesson the hard way that Bossk is not to be underestimated. Yeah, this is just so bad, guys. So bad. Obviously, like, I'm not giving up. I do want to see if I can get at least Bossk down, even if it's painfully slow. But it's looking grim. It's not the best feeling. I wish, like, if there were more exposes stacking, I wonder if maybe that would have been good. But it just doesn't seem to want to work. And obviously, this was when I knew, like, it was over. There's no coming back from that. So we backed out, and I figured I'm gonna leave that alone, because I need to think about it. And I figured honestly, when I was looking at this, I thought the scary team was Dooku, not Bossk. Like, that was my train of thought. And because I figured the scary team was Dooku with Jango, I was like, well, I should just use Jedi Master Luke here. This was also probably my downfall. I think I should have used Jedi Master Luke on Bossk. So obviously I took him here on Dooku. Pretty straightforward. I'm taking him with Ayla and Bastilla just because those are my leftover Jedi. I actually really like using Ayla with him. She has a lot of control. And you can see, like, this is stupid easy. And massive overkill. I probably should have used this on Bossk, and then I could have figured something else out for Dooku instead, even if I had to multi-shot it. Clearly, completely underestimated the Bossk team and just overestimated this team, I think, in terms of which one would be the more difficult one to chew through. But this does work, so I guess it's not all bad. 56, pretty straightforward. And then this Akbar team, I am going to go to next. I wasn't overly concerned about it. It's Rollo and Biggs with him. They're not crazy fast. So again, wasn't too concerned. I figured going into this that my leftover resistance would be able to handle this. Look, there's no Omicrons here. I am gonna double check. 201 Biggs, not that crazy fast. And Rollo is 265. So she is decent. I feel like I've seen faster, but she's decent. So Poe lead, Rey, and Resistance Trooper, not that crazy. It really is just a leftover resistance team. And I figured they would handle things just fine and I would be able to get Rollo out of the way. I do want to get her out of there first because of her multi-shot. She's obviously going to be the one that hurts hurts me a little bit more, and then going for bigs after. Pretty straightforward. Rey's obviously doing most of the damage here, and then it's just Akbar. I've 100% wanted to leave him for the end just because I don't think he hits as hard. And the AI is obviously not going to constantly do his attacks, so it would work out fine for him to be at the end. Okay, so now we've got Bossk still. And I honestly had no idea what I was going to be able to use here. What I had left, what would work. I was wondering if maybe bounty hunters would work, if I could like kind of, even if I again had to multi-shot it, if I could just get Bossk or Grief out of the way, like that would be okay. So I wanted to take Zam for the speed boost and the offense boost so that I could maybe kill somebody first. And then I just didn't know if I should take Boba for the lead, if I should take Fennec, what the best plan was, but I figured Boba would work. And I did want to take him because I wanted the ability blocks. I wanted to be able to avoid taunt if I could, if the opportunity came up for me to hit Grief, and then they just went all in on Zam. So clearly this is not going well. And Boba's dead. Zam is stunned and then dead. So now they're preloaded. And we're just having a good time with this Bossk team. I mean, it's going real well. So, like I said, they're preloaded. No idea at all what I could possibly use here. I did figure, like, maybe Grievous could kill somebody. Like, maybe we could just AoE and get really lucky or get some target lot out there or something, you know? Just throw me a bone and give me some kind of way to kill them. B2 obviously was going to be able to dispel, and I would be able to get around, hopefully get around things. And I thought maybe Grief would be the easier one to go for here, especially since Bossk wasn't taunting. And if I could get rid of him, things would maybe be okay. And then Bossk taunted. And it all went to shit. So obviously he's still taunting, which is great. Even with B2 dispelling, because of his Zeta, it's just coming right back. And then, again, they're just healing so much with Grief, and now they've got their contract, and it's not fun. It's not a fun time, guys. I definitely do not like this team. And Grievous is not. He's not helping me here, that's for sure. So I kind of just figured I would just let this happen, because it can't possibly get any worse, right? Like, at this point. And there he goes. So Grievous he's trying and he's failing. So that's that. So at this point I really wasn't that sure what I could do, and I figured out, you know what, I'm just gonna ignore this and let's just go look at ships, because if I can clear ships, realistically leaving one squad standing is not the end of the world, and it would be fine. Because he had Tarkin there, I wanted to use my Malevolence on Tarkin on the Empire fleet. And I figured that First Order would be the best bet on the Executor. I'm not super comfortable with this fleet, but I thought that maybe even if I had to two-shot it, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because I have my Raddus and I could clean this up if I really needed to. So I figured this was, again, the best solution just in order to clear as many fleets as possible. So you're going to put Hunted on Houndstooth, which I know, and then I wanted to stun him, and I can't stun him. and they go all in on the echelon, which is just fan-freaking-tastic. So I decided that I was going to pass the turn, and I realized I probably should have dispelled Houndstooth, and then they killed my echelon. So, you know, this really isn't going that well either. And they've got their contract already, so still not really going that well. And not getting around Bossk. And yeah, this was over pretty quickly, if I do say so myself. I did like bringing Sunfact out because I was able to get a little bit of more control, but obviously not enough. I chose to hit Houndstooth so I wouldn't have Boba hit me back. Not that it really mattered at this point, because I think this is a done deal. So I'm realizing as this is happening that I probably should have just done the 2-shot here and then tried Finalizer on Tarkin. Because I couldn't. I just didn't do anything. So, which is great. Super fun. The next thing that I decided to do, though, after I hated that entire outcome, was go for Raddus, because I figured that was going to be the best bet. I knew I was going to use my rebels there. My rebels weren't going to be able to do anything against that Tarkin fleet. Did not want to touch that Tarkin fleet with rebels. And obviously I can't clean up Executor with my rebels, with Executor in that condition. So rebels on Raddus is just a no-brainer here for me. All right, so I do like to do the wiggle usually to start, even though, like, I know you shouldn't because it's good to heal. So I figured that I wouldn't, and I would just try to hit the Falcon first. So we did get the target lock out, which was great. And obviously this bomber is taunting, which is not the best, but it's fine. And then I did think that I should heal on Biggs. I just wanted to be safe. And then it clearly did not matter. And I should have just done the AoE because they said, screw you, Biggs, and killed him anyway. So bomber's still taunting. Finally is dead. And then we can do the AoE here and hopefully get rid of the Falcon. Perfect. And then go after Resistance Pilot and get rid of him. Hopefully, before things get too crazy. The thing that scares me with this fleet is Raddus just blowing up your fleet if you don't move fast enough. So I do like to bring in Phantom just so that I can get the reinforcement faster. Even though I know I can call the assist with Cassian if I bring him in, I like to have Cassian come in second, especially when I feel kind of okay. And I did feel kind of okay here. So obviously going to bring in Cassian next, and then this should be able to do it because I can call the assist and call Falcon, and we'll be good to go. So 71, because obviously they killed Biggs at the start, which sucks. But I'll take a 71. So that was the gimme fleet that I figured would work well. And then I wanted to go to the next one, which is this Tarkin Empire. And again, I didn't want to use Rebels there, so I figured I would use Malevolence. I didn't have a fleet left that was going to really work on this Tarkin fleet that wasn't Malevolence. Like, I didn't think Raddus would be able to do it. So I figured this was going to be the best bet, and I would probably have to leave Executor as it is, and leave a ship. So I did choose to bring TIE Fighter and then the Gauntlet just to kind of fill the fleet out a little bit. I didn't want to dig into too many ships, but I wanted to be safe because obviously I like having Sunfac here, but I've used Sunfac already. So having a little bit of security kind of, you know, makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with this. So I do like to do the AoE to start just to hopefully land offense down, which we did. And I like to go after the bomber right away and try to get rid of it as quickly as possible, just because once it starts setting you on fire, it's awful. Like here. It's just great. So thankfully, though, we are able to get rid of it pretty quickly. And then, of course, they are just absolutely destroying my fleet, which is insane. And so we did get the taunt on TIE Fighter pilot, which is why I chose to kill it right away, just because it was already half dead. And then normally I would go after Vader, but because TIE Fighter pilot was so close to death anyway, I just figured we would go for it. And then Vader obviously was next, and now we've got the shuttle, and it's fine. Super sloppy, 65 banners, absolutely horrendous. But it did work, so. Obviously, this is where it is for ships. I did end up trying to use Raddus on Executor here to try and clean it up. So I will show you it. I am going to speed it up because it is interesting. So pretty standard lineup. I took Jedi Consular just for added protection, and I really just wanted, if I could blow up the Executor, I was like, maybe I can clean it up depending on what we can get out of here. And it obviously is extremely uncomfortable. If I could get around this taunt, it would be great. And they are just absolutely destroying my fleet here, which is awful. But I'm trying to basically get her ultimate as quickly as possible, just so I can blow up the Executor, like I said. Definitely should not have AoE'd there, but it was fine. And then it wasn't fine, and it didn't work. So ships are staying as they are. We're not clearing them. And that is that, essentially. Okay, guys, so this is where it ended. You can see we both didn't clear. He did stumble quite a bit on my ground. So he did struggle on my Darth Revan team. He struggled on my Fin Poe in the back, struggled on my Maul, struggled in ships. So both of us were definitely on the struggle bus. I am fully understanding now that I completely underestimated that Bossk team. I probably should have swapped and used Jedi Master Luke there instead, and then figured something else out for Dooku. I think that probably would have been the smarter play looking back at things. And also just maybe not trying to finalize Executor and going with a 2-shot with Malevolence, and then seeing if Finalizer could have handled Tarkin instead. All hindsight, of course, 2020. So kind of kicking myself a little bit there, but things that were really great. So obviously, definitely I'm not going to underestimate Bossk going forward. I really enjoyed getting to try Nute on that Qui-Gon team. Even though it didn't have Anakin, I still think it would have worked really well with Anakin there, just because you saw Nute obviously has his revive, Jango had damage immunity, and B1 is based off of his stacks. So even if Jedi Anakin had been there in AoE, I think I would have been okay. So I definitely want to keep that team in my back pocket moving forward. And I think I'm going to just change defenses in general. I've definitely realized, based off of this, what I need to be doing to make it a little bit tougher. And also just keeping more of the proper teams for offense. I don't know. Still figuring out this 3v3 thing. I think I'm getting it. Maybe. But we'll see. So hopefully the next match goes a little bit smoother. But we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys.